the key to adapting is learning.
Don't go ahead and say at that time, but you come back and then you respond to it at a more calmer space.
One gets business, then the other automatically gets business.
You are so full of gratitude for what you have and how you're progressing.
You need to have patience. That is very essential in any industry.
What is it that you do for your inner peace? Hi everyone, I'm Mohsinaa Ahmad and you are listening to Boss Talks. Today, we welcome a transformative business leader whose journey exemplifies excellence across multiple industries. Shruthi Boosey, as the managing partner and executive director of Jana Consultants and Truth Events, Shruthi has masterfully navigated the complex landscapes of global business for over a decade. Her exceptional leadership is perhaps best illustrated by her role as CEO and managing partner at JUS General Trading, where she demonstrated remarkable ability to adapt and innovate while leading diverse teams. With expertise spanning executive management, revenue growth, and strategic planning, Shruti has consistently proven her ability to drive organizations towards unprecedented success. What truly sets Shruti apart is her remarkable versatility, from steering the growth of Solar Apps Energy Private Limited to spearheading initiatives at Walk Ahead Sports Services. Her leadership style, characterized by adaptability and cultural intelligence, has enabled her to successfully manage and motivate teams across different continents and industries. Under her guidance, she's led organizations with over 200 employees, cultivating an environment of excellence while maintaining remarkable team cohesion. Her approach to leadership combines strategic vision with emotional intelligence, making her one of the most respected voices in today's business landscape. Please welcome the dynamic and inspiring Shruthi Boosey.
Hi, Mohsinaa. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've seen a couple of your podcasts, and I must say it's really, really interesting because I've seen the diverse, leadership you've interviewed and you've spoken with. Thank you for having me on the platform as well.
Thank you. So, Shruti, you have led organizations across diverse sectors, from aviation giants like Singapore Airlines to sustainable energy with solar apps. What's been your secret to successfully adapting your leadership style across such different industries while maintaining consistent results?
So I started my journey as a management trainee in aviation, which was the GSA of Singapore Airlines, Delta, Swiss, Sabina, and Silk Air. So my journey from there kind of started with being mentored, I would say, because I had the opportunity to be mentored by Mr. Nagaraj, and I grew into the role. It was challenging for me because initially when you start out, you're on a learning platform, I guess, but no, I couldn't say it ended there because we are learning all the time. And when I arrived in UAE, I kind of got influenced by my Raki brother, I would say, Sharad Kal. He kind of asked me to do renewable energy, which was far away from what I did in the airline industry. But everything is a learning curve because, I had to adapt to the changes, not just to the industry, but also to the dynamics of the location, right? Because India is such a vast, different market. UAE is like totally different from what we did back home. So, and then another friend of mine from the US, Glenn Melda, for ultrasonic level sensors, he said, hey, you're there in the market. We don't have a presence. Why don't you kind of, use your expertise to build our sales channels there as well? So that became another learning experience too, because obviously I had, zero knowledge on ultrasonics. And yes, so I think the key to adapting is learning, because if you don't start from the grassroots level with every industry you're going to represent or you're going to work on, then you would be kind of lost. So yes, I adapted because I learned, and of course I also learned to deal with different cultures, different people, their personalities.
Right.
Yeah. So
right, right.
it's just been the learning experience. Yeah.
That's really amazing, you know, being at this level, you are talking about learning, because usually people give up learning the moment they, I think, pass out university or some kind of
Right.
discipline that they take up. But continuous learning absolutely leads to growth, and we have
Yeah.
seen it in your profile. This is really amazing what you have spoken about. So, leading a 300 crore turnover company with 200 plus staff is no small achievement. Can you share a pivotal challenge you faced during this journey, and how did it shape your leadership philosophy of achieving anything through hard work and determination?
When I took over as the CEO in 2000, like a few months later, we had Swiss Air, which went into moratorium. And Sabina pulled out from the network. We used to fly to Chennai, right? So we were handling the whole ground handling of them because we had our staff positioned at Chennai airport and we had people in reservation, sales, and the whole 9 yards, basically. That was something that, I just got into the role as CEO, started enjoying my position there, and then suddenly, this happened. So it was, something that I had to deal with quickly because, there was no time to strategize and to think and whatever else. We had to go with the flow. But yeah, I had the chairman, Mr. Nagaraj, as well, who was guiding me along the way. But then the responsibility as the CEO was to kind of transition this phase. And what happened there was we had to retrench. And I don't think any person in that position would want to start off doing something like retrenchments, right?
Right.
But I mean, I'm really thankful to my industry because way back in Bangalore, and we basically were South-based company. And I spoke to a lot of the other industry people and kind of, asked them to absorb our stuff because, we didn't want to just give them the pink slip and say, go fetch and find your own jobs or whatever else. Even though, I mean, as part of the retrenchment, you have all your packages in place and everything else. But I think the human touch is most important when it comes to this. So thankfully to my industry associates, I managed to position most of them. Some of them got absorbed back in because Swiss Air came back as Swiss International Airlines. So yeah, so we still continue to fly except for Sabina, which kind of pulled out totally. That was the biggest challenge I would say I faced because you're dealing with emotions. Human, emotions are something that you can't really comprehend because everyone comes to you with a different, diverse outburst of their
The
thoughts and
reactions are
everything
completely
else.
different. Yes.
That I would say was the biggest challenge, but I kind of managed that with all the assistance of all our leadership team. I think our regional heads and the managers there, like the area managers in the various regions, they were like so cooperative. They really kind of got together because I made this transition happen very, very smoothly. And I think without a team, you can't achieve things like this. So I'm really grateful to all of them who have been a part of this journey because it's through them that I've learned. Because I mean, a lot of them were senior to me in their positions. So it kind of, gave me the opportunity to sail through this situation.
Through Jana Consultants and Truth Events, you have been transforming business for nearly a decade in Dubai. What was the vision behind creating Jana, and how has it evolved to meet the changing needs of the UAE business landscape?
To be honest with you, Jana was started with the purpose to do something in the travel industry. That's where my strengths lie. The friend of mine who actually asked me to, start up something with them, they suddenly, I don't know, there was a shift in plan. They started their own company. I was left with really nothing to do. And like I said earlier, Sharath and Glenn kind of encouraged me into starting up, something new with Jana. We decided to expand into multiple verticals. Like, if you look at my profile, you probably see like we have logistics, training, renewable energy, event management, sports. And I mean, one would think like, why are you wearing wearing so many hats. Yeah. But this was something that we did very purposefully because, I wanted to position myself with a company that would be able to take on various aspects of business in the region, because obviously I was not going to do travel anymore. That was my strength. So I kind of chose these verticals very carefully, of course, because I didn't just say, okay, fine, I'll go with what comes my way. I had to look in the right direction. So if you look at the bouquet of, the verticals we have in the organization, it kind of all interlinks with each other. Like, I mean, if you look at logistics, probably a no-brainer, because I mean, Dubai is a hub and you get a lot of stuff in here. That was something that came in kind of last on the list. But yeah, we did general trading. With renewable energy, I looked at ultrasonics as well, because sensors are pretty much a part of, what you're doing in the industry. And then considering the fact that there is like oil wells here, predominantly oil. So we decided we'll go, with sensors also and start marketing that. Renewable energy, as you know, I mean, the vision of UAE is to go sustainable and promote renewable energy. So that was, of course, we started this a little earlier than the actual announcement happened. So we were kind of at the right place at the right time. Yeah, the events industry, again, if you look at the number of exhibitions that are happening here, it kind of suited us to accept that as well. So, events along with also we recommend stand build ups and everything else, because we have channel partners. If you look at the whole range of the travel partners we have in Jana Consultants, it's all definitely interlinked, because one gets business, then the other automatically gets business. Because if you're talking like solar, we are talking logistics, we are talking installation. Yeah. So it kind of all goes hand in hand. So that was how we kind of derived Jana Consultants. And that's where we are today. Yeah. Came up with the
but
name
you are going
also.
places with Jana Consultants, so
Thank
that's
you.
really amazing. So you have worn multiple hats, from CEO to board member, from GSA expert to events consultant. Which of these roles taught you the most about effective leadership?
I'm going to have to say it's the aviation industry, because I've been privileged to actually work with a diverse range of people across different nationalities. If you look, we had Delta, which was an American company, Singapore, which was the Singaporeans, we had Swiss, basically dealing with all these
So many
people.
people, yes,
Gave me the
diverse people.
exposure. I had the privilege of working with people like, Mr. Peter Marizzo, Marcel Hungerbuehler, Hans Peter Doser, and Cheng Yang, and, the whole lot of them were. And I still remember very fondly somebody by the name of Guy Phillips. He was the head of sales and marketing, and actually became, the head of this region as in the Indian subcontinent. He was somebody who taught me how to even compute fares, because I had to start like from the grassroots level, obviously. He went into so much of depth with teaching me that marketing is different from sales. If you don't market your product well, you're not going to get your sales going. He was like very, very keen to show me the way. From Swiss, we had Mr. Doser. I kind of learned a lot from them. And I think the best thing about being with experienced people is that you don't need to feel embarrassed to ask a question or to say you don't know, because the guys are so experienced, they will teach you. And I had Delta Airlines with Asha Singh and Rodney de Cruz, who were, another team on the other side, who were also very receptive to letting us in. And they never treated us like a GSA per se, because GSA is the general sales agent and airline is airline, right? But all our carriers were so nice to us that they would actually treat us like their own staff. Yeah. So I think that was the best part of, learning, because the rest came along. I could kind of use that experience in my other industries as well, because I think leadership by and large is using what you have already gained, and you probably improvise as you go along. But I think in all that, people are the most important aspects of your journey. So if you can take people along without being egoistic and, trying to act like you know way too much, then you automatically are winning. I think that was my journey there. And yeah, that was where I learned the most.
So, Shruti, you tell me that, you started young, you started small, but you have grown so much since then. What is your leadership style? Because when I'm talking to you, I'm seeing a person who's so calm, composed, at the same time full of knowledge, and not a single sense of that I know it all, that kind of a feeling. So where does this composure comes from, and what is your leadership style?
I think my leadership style would be to be with the team because, I always believed in getting down to the grassroots levels and working with the teams. For me, it's like people are very important because I've majored in human resources, right? So for me, that is the key to everything I do. I think that's what has taken me through. And when I meet people, I've had people who've come across and who've tried to talk you down because
They
a
do, yeah.
woman, and especially then, I mean, you're a girl. So,
Mhm.
so I've had all these kind of experiences as well. But I learned that composure is important. Listening is the key because if you don't listen to people, you're not going to make that breakthrough statement at the end of the meeting. So I normally would listen to everybody because everybody has so many interesting things to say at meetings, right? So I would kind of sit and listen through and then come back with my feedback. But there were many times actually that there were some things I never knew about, but because I heard them, right? I kind of picked up from there, and that's what I actually would share back. And then I would kind of sound like, she knows it all. But yeah, I just learned it at that particular meeting. So I think allowing people to work in their style, delegation is also another key area that, we have to believe that people will do the right thing for you if they are in a position. So I think for me, delegation is big. I don't believe in holding back. And because after I came to UAE, I've been on the board of Al Diafa as the board of governors. Al Diafa is the school, it's a high school in Dubai. Yeah, I've also been an advisor at the Sustainable Gulf Sustainable Awards. I've been a speaker at Evolve, which is the College Times. So I think all these things have given me the ability to, kind of stay composed, let people do their job, and only step in when you think you need to, give them a little push, because teamwork for me is ultimate in progress. And I think that's what I follow.
Amazing. What you just said about delegation and not going from the point of controlling or holding back, directing your team with their right strengths. It is so amazing if leaders follow this without having that insecurity or without having that control aspect. I'm sure the teams will do excellent. How would you advise a young person in the industry, in any industry for that matter, in terms of if people, seniors talking down on them, being mean in some way? What advice will you give them? How do they avoid these things? Or if they have faced these things, how do they come out of it?
If it is something to do with the product or subject knowledge, and if a senior is like telling you off or kind of lecturing you on it, I would say listen, because you're going to lose nothing by listening. Yeah, instead you're going to gain something out of what they are saying to you. So listening, like I said earlier, is the key. And put your ego aside. Don't bring your ego to work. That's not required. Yeah, so you need to put your ego aside. I know the current generation is like, all about wanting things to happen immediately and wanting growth to happen right now. Like, they probably join today and they want to be grown tomorrow. So yeah, so you need to have patience. That is very essential in any industry. And if your senior is talking to you on a personal level, trying to bully you, then I mean, stand up for your right. You don't need to put up with nonsense from anybody, because I think you're in the organization because you are contributing something viable to the organization, and that's why you are there. Because if you had nothing to contribute, you wouldn't be appointed in the organization in the first place. Yeah. So if it's a personal vendetta, then you have to talk. But if it's about work and it's about processes and how you need to do things, then listen, learn, and go back to them and tell them what you did eventually. And if you really didn't like what they said, even on the work process part of it, you can tell them later what you said was valid, but
Mhm.
I didn't like the tone you used, or that you like yelled at me in front of 10 other people. Can we
Right.
please do this personally? So most people are matured enough to accept things like this. So I
True,
think
true.
that's my advice to the
That's an amazing way
newcomers.
of actually putting it across. And
Yeah.
you don't go ahead and say at that time, but you come back and
Yeah.
then you respond to it at a more
Right.
calmer space. You've worked with diverse cultures across continents. What do you believe are the three non-negotiable attributes every global leader needs in today's business environment?
I'm going to have to say, integrity and trust, because if you don't have the right integrity and, you don't trust the people you work with, then it's kind of leading you up the wrong path. And then probably adaptability, because, the business world does not come with any kind of a fixed script, right? You could be discussing aviation strategy somewhere in the morning. You can be talking about solar panels over lunch. So I think being adaptable is very, very essential. And I think emotional intelligence is also very necessary in your
Absolutely.
workspace. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've been in Dubai since quite some time now. How is life in Dubai?
This country is amazing. The way they've developed, the strategies they follow, and then the government again is so proactive, because you don't have too much of red tape. I think they kind of promote entrepreneurs, and they
Right.
allow you to do things more freely. So for me now, after all these years, I kind of have adapted to this environment. I'm loving it right now, and
You have seen quite a change. 12 years is like,
yes,
Dubai
yes.
has so many things, new things that is happening.
Absolutely. I think the policy making is very, very good in this region. So, and the good thing is that it's implemented. It's
Right.
not just announced and pushed under the carpet. It is announced, it's done. That is the biggest plus I see in this region. And I think the locals here are really nice. They're very helpful. If you go into, the DTMC offices, or, the economic department, or wherever, they are always willing to, come out there and help you. Because I know I got stuck once with doing my passwords and stuff like that. But the guy was so nice. He actually walked with me to the machine, personal touch, where like he kind of left his desk and came out. I thought that was really nice for somebody to do. It was right at the beginning, right? And it was a very small gesture, but it impacted me. I kind of felt really happy that somebody took time out to actually show you what to do. So that's something that I like about the region as well. And people are respectful.
I would like to ask you, what is it that you do for your inner peace? The kind of aura that you have, positivity that you show. What is
Yeah.
it that you do? Do you practice visualization, affirmations, meditation, any spiritual practice that you do? Please.
This is a very interesting question, actually. And to be honest, I do affirmations. I pray a lot. I'm kind of very spiritual that way. But I have this friend of mine, Shreya, and there's another friend, Harsha, as well, who's done Reiki. Kind of when we are talking about things that are mind boggling, getting us upset, and, stuff like that, they are like, two people who've been my advisors in my emotional space. My sister back home, she's like, keep calm, don't don't get into things. So I think I owe my sisters and these two friends of mine a huge kind of gratitude, because they are my support. There is Matthew, who's actually a consultant, and he kind of does emotional consulting as well. So I keep talking to people like this if I know I can't deal with something. But most of the time, I think if you kind of shut off from a situation and pay more attention to something else, later when you go back here, this is not that important anymore. And yes, I believe in prayer. And I think the divine guidance is always necessary anywhere, because protection is, something that all of us want. And yeah, so that's something that goes with me always.
So, do you take decisions logically or intuitively?
Sometimes it's intuitive, sometimes, not always, but it's like a kind of a balance, because you're looking at things, rationally, or trying to decipher whether it's going to be profitable or not. Like, whether you really want to put your foot in the door and get into, the business space. But sometimes when you're talking to people, I think their body language, the way they,
Says a
convey
lot.
things to
Right.
you, you, and even though the project probably sounds like amazing and it's really good and everything else, I think that sixth sense kind of kicks in. And I've said no to so many things because even though on the paper, I mean, everything looks perfect, it looks really exciting, there's so much of growth, blah, blah, kind of thing. But the person conveying that, I think it's at a different realm altogether because if you don't connect with somebody, on a
You
level.
need to be on the same frequency.
To
understand.
I think trust is so important, right? Because when they are talking to you, you kind of pick up certain terms of speech, their body language, the way they're looking at you. I honestly don't like people who don't make eye contact with me. Not
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
not because they are bad or whatever, but I somehow feel that if somebody is not making eye contact with you and just talking to you, like there's no meat in the game then, because
Absolutely,
that's something I go with.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so true. Shruti, thank you so much for joining in. It was an amazing conversation that we had, and you enlightened us on so many aspects, actually. Leadership, your abilities, and how do you tap in capabilities of the team, and how you are so full of gratitude for what you have, and how you're progressing with the help and support, and you have that acknowledgement. You're acknowledging whoever is supporting you, helping you. You have taken so many names in this podcast, okay?
Yes.
And you have given them that gratification and that acknowledgement that they were and are a part of your journey. So this has been so amazing. And this conversation. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Mohsinaa. And like I started my talk with saying, I've seen a couple of your podcasts and I love the questions you ask and the people you've interviewed because they all come from diverse backgrounds, all very versatile, I would say, because everyone seems to have like a lot of experience and you've been talking with them. You come across as a person who's like approachable and I mean, the comfort level that I've kind of got with this engagement is something that also been like an inspiration because I've done, like I said, I've done speaking, I've been a judge at events and everything else. But on a podcast, this is my first time and I've enjoyed every bit of it. I think you're like a thorough professional and that's most important. So
Thank you so
thank
much.
you so much for having me on the
Thank
show.
you.